Can the new group of Republican leaders revitalize the grand old party? Meet GOP young guns, at least some of them. Senator Mike Lee, Marco Rubio, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, Ron Johnson, Kelly Ayotte, Pat Toomey. We're probably forgetting some, but let's go to one of the key prominent rising stars. Joining me here on set, freshman Republican Senator Ted Cruz. Mr. Cruz, as always, it's great to see you. You're really a troublemaker. That's really the bottom line. And one of the troubles you're making is you want to defund Obamacare. Perish the thought. Tell me about it.
Well, that's exactly right. It's great to be with you, Larry, and thanks for everything you do. Look, my number one priority, and what I think the number one priority should be of every elected representative, Republican or Democrat, is economic growth. The last 4 years, our economy has grown just 0.8%. We have stagnant growth. And if Obamacare is allowed to be implemented right now, we're already seeing people losing their health care coverage. We're seeing employers forcing employees to work fewer hours. We're seeing premiums go up, especially for young people. Last quarter, our economy grew 0.1%. And if we allow Obamacare to go into effect right now, it could easily push us into a recession.
It's a job stopper.
That's exactly right.
It's a job stopper. It's a hiring stopper. Not only is it expensive to hire, but if you're over, you don't hire the 50th employee.
Sure, it's keeping small businesses small.
And you won't let anybody work 30 hours or more, because then you got to pay up for the either the mandate or the rules. All right, let me just ask you now. Paul Ryan tells me later in the show when we do the interview, he agrees with you. He wants to terminate and defund. What's your defunding strategy? This is an uphill climb in the Senate.
Well, it is. So the strategy. Look, I think we should repeal every word of it, and that was the first legislation I introduced. But what we're doing this week is an amendment to the continuing resolution that I'm calling Restore Growth First. And it says at a minimum, we should defund it. We should delay funding Obamacare until economic growth returns to historic levels. Since World War II, growth has averaged 3.3%. And when the economy is gasping for breath, I think it makes no sense at all.
I don't understand that. Suppose you held this thing back, and suppose you restored 3.5% growth, which is more or less the post-war average. So then you put Obamacare in, and it'll work its negative ways anyway.
Look,
I mean, the thing's a little. Look, you guys, you ran to the defense of Rand Paul. That was much more than just drone policy in the USA. I looked at that, and I read Rand's op-ed piece in the Washington Post. You're saying you want to stop government excess wherever it is. And if any time this was an excessive bill, this Obamacare bill is. So why even wait? Why 3.3%? The hell with it. If you're going to stop it, stop it.
Look, you were preaching to the choir. The first bill I introduced was to repeal every word of it. That's what I think we should do. But I also think it's important to make the case that everyone should join together. Democrats shouldn't want to send us into a recession. And if they vote against my amendment tomorrow, which I expect they will, what they are saying effectively is economic growth doesn't matter to them, that they're willing, when the economy is gasping for breath, to hit it with massive additional burdens that will kill jobs and kill growth.
Honest question. You got any Democrats who might go along with you, such as Democrats? I'm thinking of Begich and Pryor and some others. They are up for re-election in 2014. It's amazing to me. Obamacare, even now, after the Supreme Court ruling, after Obama wins the election, we're in the third year of Obamacare. Even now, it is virtually the most unpopular political and policy issue in America. You got any Ds who will come around with you?
We don't have any indication right now. We've got a dozen co-sponsors that are all Republicans. I mean, we'll see when the vote comes up, and then there may be a couple who decide to vote for political convenience, so they can go to the voters and pretend that they opposed Obamacare. But I think at the end of the day, Harry Reid is likely going to hold his Democrats, because that's been his pattern.
He's going to go nuts on this. He hates this. He hates the fact that Tom Coburn is stopping it. We just had Senator Coburn on. Can you co-sponsor H.R. 1? I just want to put this out there. This is going to be the tax reform bill. This is Dave Camp, the head of the Ways and Means Committee. Paul Ryan talked to me about it, particularly corporate tax rates, which are off the charts, way too high, not just for the big corporations, but for the smaller corporations who pay the personal code, right? 44%. Can you co-sponsor that? Can you get a group of senators, maybe this group, you and Toomey and Marco and the others, to get this lower tax rate pro-growth bill going in the Senate?
I am passionately in favor of tax reform. And I think we need to dramatically simplify the tax code and reduce the burden, both the corporate tax code and the personal tax code. In both cases, you know, every year the cost of tax compliance is over $500 billion.
Yep.
I mean, that's as much as we spend on the Pentagon.
You can get rid of the loopholes. You don't need to. If the rate is low enough, you don't need the loopholes.
Yeah. Look, I mean,
the incentive effect will kick in.
That's exactly right. I'd like for every individual to be able to fill out his taxes on a postcard. And that $500 billion is all deadweight loss.
Right.
As we say in Texas, it doesn't produce a single truck or tortilla.
I thought you were going to say all hat, no cattle. I thought that's what you were saying. President Bush used to always say that. How about we get a lower marginal tax rate, individuals and corporations tied to a sound dollar? Now, that's 4 to 5% economic growth.
I think you're exactly right. We've seen QE infinity from the Fed, and we now see the Democrats' budget where not only do they want to keep increasing spending, they want to jack up taxes on individuals, on the middle class, and on corporations to yet even have more capital flee this country. It doesn't make any sense.
It's a very odd definition of tax reform, but these are odd times. Anyway, Senator Ted Cruz, thank you very much. You're terrific to come around.
It's great to be with you.
Appreciate it. All right, folks.